You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Cohn Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Passive Practice Profits, BrainTap Technology, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, ChiroPro Accounting, A-Line, and Midwest Brain Health Technology. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 284 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your co-host, Luke Millette, and here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Howard Cohn, and if you want to know that the chiropractic profession is in safe hands, stay tuned. All right, welcome to another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I have co-host Luke Millette here with me, and we have Dr. Howard Cohn. And Howard's coming in from California today, and we're coming in from now Luke's new home in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Jim Chester, myself, coming in from the beautiful state of Colorado. And it's going to be our first show ever where Luke and I are in dual locations. So welcome to the show, Dr. Howard.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm so thrilled to be with everybody today, and looking forward to having some fun with the time we got.
Yeah, so I like to jump right into the episodes, and I think one of my favorite parts to discuss with people is your chiropractic story. And I think that that's, even if people just jump in for a little bit and listen, they get to know who you are. But
sure.
just be mindful, like this content's going to be listened to by your practice members and by your family and friends. So probably a lot of people know you and they've known you for a long time, but they might have forgotten your awesome chiropractic story of why you became a chiropractor. So would you mind sharing that with our audience today?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I actually was fortunate enough to have something that seemed for most people mundane, which in high school we had this thing called a career day, which usually is a lackluster event. You know, you get out of class, which is the best part, and then you go to these different rooms, and there's all these different people from different careers or jobs. And so there would be like a lawyer, an accountant, some kind of business person, maybe a franchise owner, obviously the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, all of the different things, and all giving their best pitch as to why you should follow that career path. So as a 16-year-old, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something that would impact the world. And we got 3 choices, and there was actually this is on the East Coast in New York where I grew up. There's actually a Dunkin' Donuts guy, and he was the most popular because he brought the donuts. And so I learned that he had donuts, and so somehow I got to see the donut guy for 2 out of 3 of those choices. So I did not obviously come from health or having the awareness of good health. And my mom was a nurse, so I knew a little bit about the medical field, but nothing about the health field. And for some reason, I don't to this day know why, I feel divinely guided, there was a chiropractor there. And that was one of the choices. So I decided to, you know what, I'm just going to go in there. I don't know, maybe it was the room right next to the donut guy. Maybe that's why it happened. So could have been coincidental, but as they say, coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. So anyway, I walked in there, I saw this guy, and he told this story that blew me away. And I had never to that day seen anybody more excited about what they did for a living. I mean, this guy was outside his skin about what he was doing, the impact he was making, the lives that were being changed. And, you know, what to that date, I've seen people that are just have jobs and they seem like trading time for money, and that, you know, if you didn't pay them, they would just stop doing what they were doing. And that's 99.99% of the people I had met, at least the first 16 years of my life. But here was a guy in front of the room that said, not only would he do it if he didn't get paid, he said he would pay to do what he was doing for a living. So I actually decided that day, I remember I went home, told my parents, like, I'm going to be a chiropractor. They looked at me like I lost my freaking mind. And, but I've never looked back. You know, I knew that guy was sent there for me that day. It hit me like a 2x4. He told a story, a transformational story about attitude and perspective and how to look at life. And I had never seen or heard anybody with that kind of certainty on the path they were on. And I just knew that's what I was going to do. And that was the beginning. That was the steering in the right direction. And obviously had a lot of different mentors along the way that helped me to be where I'm at today in this profession.
That's so cool. And you mentioned Dunkin' Donuts, and just for record here, that's Luke's favorite coffee.
I'm drinking it right now.
Nice.
He's got his
Jumbo.
Ghostbusters cup, and I have my Chiro Hustle cup.
All right. I don't think I have Dunkin' today, but
but you have a tumbler with your branding on there.
I do. It does say Dr. Cohn on this one. So make no mistake, this big sucker's mine. I'm sure it's today's organic, non-sprayed coffee of the day that's fair traded, and I've come a long way.
Oh man, they always say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And you know, you said some things there in the enthusiasm about the profession. And how long have you been a chiropractor?
So this is my 31st year, so 3 decades.
And do you have that same enthusiasm that you saw as a 16-year-old?
I'd say more. I'd say more because there's the how do I say it? There is the overwhelming need for to hold the torch and hold it high for who we are and what we do. You know, basically because of how the world is. You know, at the time of this filming, the world's lost its mind, and especially when it comes to health versus disease versus what the body can do or can't do. So I feel like a moral and ethical obligation having the awareness that I have about what chiropractic can do for people, and really just the chiropractic attitude that empowers people is something people need now more than ever. So the calling is even brighter than it ever was.
So what would be some advice you'd give to another doctor who wants to schedule in more new patients into their office?
Well, I mean, you got to surround yourself with success. I mean, I just finished talking to your partner there, Jim, coming off a just massive screening with over 600 new patients in Alaska. So I would obviously follow everything that you guys are doing. If you want to get out there in the world, especially when people are scared to get out there, I would really pay attention, and whatever you're offering to show how to do what you just did, since no one's doing it, I'd start with that. And on top of that, there's 2 kinds of things that I was told when I first got started in practice, which was there's 2 ways to just blow by everybody. Number 1 is to be so clinically brilliant that you can fix things that other people can't fix. And the other one is be a master communicator, which means that if you don't know how to tell people what it is that you do so that they can transfer that information to somebody else in a way that they have enough curiosity and excitement and motivation to want to follow what you're saying that they should do or could do for their health, it's going to be a rough road for you. So the 2 biggest types of people that I always see with waiting lists are the ones that know how to communicate and do it effectively and transfer enthusiasm. And then the other ones are clinically brilliant. And if you could find a way to be both, then you're going to crush it.
Yeah. And, just to touch on what you said there a little bit is in the midst of something of a world concern, we went out there and did that 600 plus patients. And I think that now more than ever, you hear that statement and phraseology a lot, but I believe now more than ever, people want what chiropractic is. And you were just mentioning off camera is that you've had 2 back-to-back, great years at the office, and people just don't know that. They didn't know how important chiropractic was to the world at large, but I really believe now, because of the amount of uncertainty and the depth of fear, that people need a safe place to go. And I really believe that chiropractors are one of those really safe places that the communities can go to and start to get care. And it does help with the chemical, the physical, and the emotional responses of subluxation. But people just don't know what a subluxation is. And they don't know that chiropractic can help them balance out their emotional curve as well.
Yeah, I mean, what the people are looking for right now is somebody that is fearless, because what they're doing is they're drowning in fear. They're drowning in hopelessness and helplessness, and the uh, health issues that are being fed from despair are far and beyond the other things that are being propagated to people that they should be concerned about. Not that they shouldn't be concerned about these other things or the things and the narratives that are being pushed, but they want to be intelligible about it. And it's hard to get real information when the people that have information are being silenced, and so on and so forth. And then other things which are not accurate, and knowingly in your gut, it's not accurate, but it's being shoved down everybody's throat every day, all day long, all the time. So it's really hard to communicate to people. So, one thing that we see in successful offices is that we create what's called a tribe. We have a tribe of people that really get it. And so what people are looking for, they're looking for people that get the big idea. The big idea put forth by B.J. Palmer, the developer of chiropractic, the son of the founder of chiropractic, really talked about how the world can change one adjustment at a time, and getting chiropractors to, sing that song and spread that message. I mean, the subluxation you brought up, that is our word, that is our nomenclature, that is what defines us, that is what separates us from everywhere else. And chiropractors, unfortunately, they're not always birthed with that information, especially in school. So unless they're lucky enough and fortunate enough to have it pounded into them by their chiropractor that inspired them to go to chiropractic school to begin with, then what they're learning in school is not always really the depth and the beauty of chiropractic. So, a lot of times they'll never find their way back to it, or they're lucky enough to find their way back to it. Again, your program is one of the things that kind of steers people straight, so to speak, not just being straight chiropractors, but straight in their philosophy. I mean, I have a full service wellness center. I have everything in it. But make no mistake, the chiropractic philosophy is what everything is based on. And then rather than send people down the road to get other things that are inconsistent in its messaging, they can get it still at my office, but they know no one's just coming in without seeing a chiropractor. No one's just coming in to see the acupuncturist, coming in to see the massage therapist, coming in to see the naturopath, coming in to see even the holistic esthetician we have. They're coming because they want to know that everything they're doing is based in the same philosophy, which is the body's designed to heal itself as long as it's free of interference. And if we feed it the right things, not just the food, but how we move our body and how we feed our mind, then we have a much better chance to thrive in this world. And there's an assault on all three of these things right now. And really, it's up to us. It's up to your listeners. It's up to the doctors that you have given your platform to really grab the torch and be what people are asking them to be.
Powerful.
So I know you do a really great job at bringing health back to the people who come into your office, but what are you doing for your own health and your family's health?
Well, cobbler shoes, right? So we do our best to make sure. I have two beautiful young daughters, teenagers, and teenagers know everything. So we're trying to always, as good parents, make sure that they get adjusted, make sure they take their supplements, make sure they're eating at least good food while they're home, make sure we do other things emotionally to help support them, make sure they have, good crowds of kids and people that they hang out with. We do, chiropractic has born many different techniques. I always say that there's a chiropractor somewhere in the world that can fix whatever you have, because there's so many chiropractors that do so many different things. And one technique we do in our office called NET, which stands for neuroemotional technique, which is based in the fact that, your mind and your body are one thing. It's not some new agey kind of statement. If you alter your mind, it's going to alter your body, and that's what it looks to do. Just like if you alter your body, it's going to alter your mind, which is what chiropractic has been doing for well over 100 years. So we make sure that these kids get checked out from time to time to make sure they're not developing any patterns that would create some behaviors that would make their parents freak out. But, we're all going to trip. We're all going to fall. We're going to do our things. And, we can't live in a bubble. So that's what we do. For myself, I try to eat well. I exercise at least 3 times a week with a personal trainer. I have since the beginning of this crazy time. So I decided to double down on my health, and I take a lot of nutritional things. It's a big part of our office. I get treated and adjusted. I have a team. It takes a village. There's not just one doc. I have multiple docs in my office. I think we have 8 chiros in my office, and a couple of naturopaths and body workers, acupuncture. We have a lot of things going on, a lot of modalities. So I try and do those as much as possible. Fitness wise, my number one go-to is, on top of working out, is hockey. I play ice hockey every week, at least once a week, hopefully more, but trying to be around and balance the kids to practice. I run a nutrition company I formulate products for, so there's a lot going on.
Wow, lots of plates spinning for you, man. But the thing that I think the real anchor statement is it goes back to James Chestnut. And he started the revolution probably about 20 years ago, the eat well, think well, move well. And the part that I think he left out in the whole, collective of this conversation was the adjustment. And I think the adjustment's primary. And if people got adjusted regularly, they would have access to a servant leader like yourself, a chiropractor, that would say, okay, I get it. You came in for whatever this thing might be, this concern that you're trying to get help with, but really it's a big game. It's a lifestyle. It's the eating right. It's the thinking right. It's the exercise. It's that. And then it all starts with this beautiful thing called the adjustment that removes the interference from the nervous system, allowing the body to function as it's supposed to. And I think that that's the bigger conversation with when we asked that to the practitioner. It's awesome to hear that you play ice hockey. I would have never guessed it. And I didn't know you had 2 teenage daughters. So kudos to you for having the hair that you still have.
It's fading.
Well, I can only imagine having 2 teenage daughters. But in all serious, the chiropractic lifestyle saves people, and that's what makes chiropractic so unique and distinct and stand alone in this care of health arena. It's not really healthcare. The healthcare system got re-anchored into something else that it's been manipulated into, but chiropractic is, I believe, the real last bastion of care of health systems. And it really does care for people's health. And that's why you're thriving right now in the teeth of this confused world. And it's really honorable to be able to talk to you today about some of the things that you're doing and how you keep yourself on the up and up. And it is true. If anybody really wanted to get ahead of themselves and stay consistent with their health and not lose it during these times, they have to start working out more. They have to make sure they're staying hydrated and eating clean and have positive connection with their spirituality and all these amazing things that chiropractic gives. When people find the door, they open it up and like, whoa. So that's what chiropractic really is. It's not just the thing that they think that they're just popping and cracking my neck. But it is the part about giving and restoring people's lives back to them.
Yeah, people don't know that they've been walking around with a dimmer switch turned down, not necessarily off, but turned down. And when they're adjusted for the first time, it's like that the light comes on, and it's really that simple. The principle is that simple. As long as what you're done is, as we say, doing more good than harm, they're going to actually have a better experience. And as the twig is bent, so grows the tree. So if they are, the longer we go without it, the harder it is. And I remember the first time I got adjusted, it was just like I was always on dim. It just really was, man. It was just like, things just came into focus. And it's really hard to explain because we can talk about it intellectually and through words for days on a program like this, but it's never going to be, nothing replaces the reality of getting it done. And when you get it done, and especially if you have an upper cervical adjustment and it's done correctly, and that connection to the, your above, down, inside out connection to something bigger than yourself happens, you're open up to a whole new universe of possibility. And not only does it affect you, it affects everyone around you. So the more light you are to the world, the more light other people can spread onto other parts of the world. And as we know, the cliche, now more than ever, there are some dark forces out there that are really gunning for our mind, gunning for the sovereignty and freedoms that we have taken for granted. And if we don't use them, we're going to lose them. So.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Passive Practice Profits, BrainTap Technology, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, ChiroPro Accounting, A-Line, and Midwest Brain Health Technology. Let's hustle.
So, what are some of your favorite ways to stay connected to not only your community but also your patients?
Well, if you asked me this 2 years ago, I would say the weekly Ultimate Health Workshop that we do, because I do have done a weekly health workshop for 29 of the last 31 years, where we explain how what we do works. It was the number one way that we drive traffic to our office. People learn about what we do. It's not me talking as much as it is Q&A and demos. The average person comes to our clinic, been to 12 doctors, no one can help them. We show them natural ways to do that, physically, nutritionally, emotionally. They ask questions about all these bizarre things that they have, and then we explain the principles of why it could be, and then we take the 3 most screwed up people and we do a structure, chemical, and emotional demo where we look to actually give them information or change their situation right on the spot, and then we invite them to come in the clinic. We always consistently have over 100% close rate on this class, because we invite people to invite their spouse and children in, and create a compelling argument for why they should, because they're probably leaving their kids at home and their spouse and loved ones develop the same problems they're coming in to get fixed, that have run their lives since the beginning. And as they say in Asia, it's a lot easier to stay well than to get well. Don't wait till you're thirsty to dig a well. So the universe rewards the action step. So as the world shifted into panic and fear, and people got crazy, and we're in California, so we are the home of crazy, and we had to make a choice, and I decided to create an environment, or maintain an environment of protection for our existing practice members and patients that have been with us for decades. So we suspended that class because we just didn't want people just bringing random people in. There are things, quote unquote, Karens out in the world, as you will, Karens and Kevins, that are quite disruptive. And we have a very sacred environment. Our environment in our clinic looks and exactly like it did 2 years ago. We don't need to get into that. Anybody aware is going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And we look to maintain that. And the irony is, even though that was the number one way that we built our practice, 2020 was our biggest year in history, and we've had a waiting list for 25 years to get in, as it was, and 2021 is crushing 2020. So people now more than ever, there it is again, are looking for a home. They're looking for a place. They're looking for their people. They're looking for a place where they're treated like a person and not like they're owned by some government or situation where they don't matter. And people's voice are heard. They get what they're looking for. We tell people when they come to the clinic, they're going to get better whether they like it or not, which means if I can't help them or one of my doctors can't help them, we'll personally find someone who can. So the next time a person like them comes in, we'll either know how to fix it because we would have took that seminar and learned how to do that, or we know where to send them to because that person helped them. So whether it was that biological dentist, or was that, naturopathic treatment that they needed to really help them through something, or was this another type of chiropractor did a technique that nobody in our office did, so we refer out probably 5 times as many people as we get because, there's this weird scarcity consciousness that infects everybody at times if they're not careful, especially our profession, which is ridiculous. People are like, oh, it's saturated. Like, I don't think we've at our height ever treated more than 7% of the population as a collective group. So I don't know what people are talking about. When I was a student and I got out on what's called a preceptor and internship, there were 32 chiropractors on my block. Didn't really matter. To me, it just wasn't enough. Not majority of people I met never seen a chiropractor. Only 32 chiropractors on the block. What are they doing? So I don't know. Maybe they're all doing great and they were full. And, obviously there's not enough chiropractors. There's a lot of people with chiropractic degrees. There's not a lot of chiropractors.
Mm. Yeah, that stirs up a lot of stuff for me because I was just up in Alaska, as you know, and I had a day off, and I just was looking around the downtown area of the little city I was in, and I saw this really like nice like chiropractic clinic, and on the backside of it was this abandoned lot. And before I saw the nice chiropractic clinic around the corner, I was like, man, this would be a prime location for a chiro office. And I started taking pictures and whatnot. And I just walked around the other side. I'm like, wow, there's a chiro office there. And I mentioned it to my assistant. And I was like, hey, I think that'd be a good location. She goes, well, don't you think you'd make the other chiropractor around the corner upset? I go, no. I was like, if chiropractic needs to thrive, it needs more access points. And it needs more people out there that are doing a great job of taking care of the community with no regard for if it's taken away from someone else's practice or not, because it's the law of connection. If you do a great job, then people are going to come to you, and if you don't do a good job, they're going to come around the corner to what we have started. So it's just business, but we need more chiropractic offices out there. Based on that, though, I have a new hybrid question for you, and it is where do you see the chiropractic profession going in 20 years? But the nuance of this is, if you were the last chiropractor, would the chiropractic profession survive?
Okay. Well, the latter question is my favorite question that that BJ Palmer asked all his students when they graduated. So, and something that I try and meditate on every time that I'm going into the office, where that I'm doing my best to instill in people the principle. Where chiropractic is going to be in 20 years from now is really based on whose voice is loudest. If Chiro Hustle here becomes as bigger, and if not bigger than the Joe Rogan experience, like it's destined to, then where the profession has a much better chance of staying on track. And if the powers that be that are squeezing our schools, where they're giving out flu shots in clinics, where our founding fathers of chiropractic would probably turn over in their graves, that's what we're dealing with. It's the fight against standing for who we are, where we come from, why we're different, versus that. I'd like to think it's going to survive. I'd like to think there's enough of us around. I'd like to think that the principles are there. And at the same time, some of the most iconic people have passed on. And when I look around at our profession, and I look at some people that were really barking very loud to have people come to their seminars to learn chiropractic philosophy, and how silent they have been throughout this whole crisis here, or whatever it is, in the last year and a half. I'm not going to lie, it gives me some doubt, but what it does for me is it gives opportunity to create new leadership, new people, and everyone's waiting for somebody to step up and be that BJ Palmer of the 2000s here, and I don't know if that guy's coming or that gal's coming. I know that there are people out there doing it, and I just know that unified we can make a bigger impact, and divided we can't, we won't. And there's been forces trying to divide this profession, not just outside but inside, as long as I've been a chiropractor, and 100 years earlier than that. So I don't have a good answer for that. I have what I'd like it to be, and I know that I'll leave my mark and legacy. But as they say, the people who write the history books are the ones who win. So I'm playing to win.
I love it. Yeah, man, that's really nice. And people do need to hear this, and they need to hear it from a seasoned practitioner, and they need to hear it from somebody that's thriving amidst this turmoil in our nation. And they need to hear it clear and honest. And who is the next BJ Palmer? I don't know, but we need a consortium of them. We need a troop of them to start standing up and taking the leadership over in these schools, that are offering flu shots. And I was just having a conversation on a hike 2 days ago, and I said, well, if the chiropractic profession is going to win, they have to go out and supplant the leadership at these schools that have lost their ways and put leadership at the top again, that have ethics and that are chiropractic minded, and keep the medical model outside of the schools. Because if we want to see a brighter future for chiropractic, we have to not let the medical model castrate the chiropractic schools and take out subluxation and take out the real truth of chiropractic, which I believe, from your stance of what you said, we need to re-navigate, because we're losing our navigation point to a brighter future within the institutions that teach the future of chiropractic. And if we're going to have a better future of chiropractic, we need to go back and take the schools back. And we need to put good leadership up top that don't do it for the money, but do it for the principle. And we need good presidents in these schools and vice presidents and admissions counselors that all have chiropractic philosophy deep into their veins, instead of people that are throwing the babies out with the bathwater for a short-term gain, for a long-term disposal. And I really believe that if we really want to right the ship, we need practitioners that are in the trenches, that are doing the work, to start realizing that this is how we save the profession.
100%, 100%.
I just have so much fire for the profession, because I think that if we're going to really make a stand for natural health long term, we have to protect the chiropractic profession, because it is the last thing standing that divides the world from collapsing into a medical dystopia, rather than a life of freedom and health. And I really believe that chiropractors are that. They're the last light force that we need to protect. And if we don't allow the chiropractic profession to have good absolute geniuses graduating with principle in their heart, then it will become a subsidized PT profession.
Well, I've always tried to mentor students, and one of the things that to add to one of the questions that were asked earlier is, or even the one that was just asked, is that we need to mentor students. We need to make sure they get the right information, that they learn the history of their profession. And as we see what's happening in our own country and around the world, if you do not have a sense of history, if you do not know history, or you've forgotten history, you are destined to repeat it. And so, you know, the saying goes, if you forget where you come from, you're on your way back. We were not born in this profession knowing exactly what to do. We may have had a fire lit within us to have that certainty about this principle released. But the reason it was because somebody lit that. It might have been with an adjustment. It might have been with a healthcare class or a spinal care class. It might have been in Alaska going to see this crazy guy screaming and yelling about why they need to be in an Alaskan chiropractic office. Could have been this podcast. It could have been anything. But that fire was lit, and we got to pay it forward. If we're not paying it forward, we are being selfish and greedy. So the hole you give through is the hole you receive through, as we all know. So if you're not spending your time given, it's going to be a small game for you.
So over the course of your life, who have you found to be some of your biggest inspirations or your heroes?
Well, I'd say the first one in this profession would be the person when I was 16 years old that inspired me to do this. I don't even know if he knew he did it, but you know, he was just doing his thing. He was probably in his 20s, did a spinal care class at a school. You know, I don't even think he got any patients out of it, you know? So I would have to say him. Learning applied kinesiology in the beginning from and meeting George Goodhart and having a relationship with him, he was obviously an amazing mentor. I've had a lot of different technique mentors. I've had a lot of different people that have done their job to kick this can called me down the road, so to speak, from all the Parker seminars I've attended and speakers I've seen. And there's just too many to mention. But you know, if I can go back in time and meet somebody and be in the presence of somebody, I believe it would have to be BJ Palmer. I never got a chance to meet him or know him. He was gone before I was around. But you know, if you're willing to get on an elephant and ride it down the street, Brady Street in Iowa, to get people to pay attention. If you're getting 8,000 people to an event in Iowa where there are no planes that are really flying, there's not a lot of mass transit, people are getting there and fighting the elements to get there. And you're the person that can get them to come and hear the story of chiropractic. That is amazing to me. I don't know that anyone's doing that today, but it's something that we can all aspire to.
Amen.
So as we begin to wrap up this episode, why don't you send us off by telling us a nice miracle story that's happened in your office?
Oh, man. So many.
First thing that comes to mind when I said that. I know something popped in there.
The blind seeing is probably the most dramatic. But I think the one that warms the heart the most is, the endless amounts of now mothers who were women that believe they could never be pregnant and having chiropractic restore function of their nervous system so that the body can take over and right itself and the miracles of creation could happen directly or indirectly from a chiropractic adjustment. So that, I think, is always the one that warms the heart the most. And those have happened too many times to recall.
Chiropractic gives life.
Yes, it does.
So what are some websites you can give people at home if they want to learn more about you and what you're up to?
Well, the Cohn Health Institute.com. So Cohn is spelled COHN, healthinstitute.com is our clinic website. We can learn everything about what we're doing at our clinic in Costa Mesa, California. I do have a website, drhowardcohn.com, where is more of my speaking and other things that I do, and probably all the social media is fed through there. I can be found at Dr. Howard Cohn on Instagram, where I have a lot up there to see how I thinking these days, as well as I think it rolls over to Facebook and Twitter and the usual suspects. Not a big TikToker yet, but I probably should be. But that should be enough. They can find me at these places.
Well, we appreciate you sharing with us today. And in closing, the reason that we perpetuate the truth of chiropractic is because we want to keep free speech alive and well in this beautiful profession. And we want to anchor into the lexicon of subluxation-based chiropractic and never lose our way to understand that there is a philosophy that's deep in this profession and innate intelligence is real and that the universal intelligence is a calling. And when you're connected with a chiropractic adjustment, anything is possible. And that's really why Luke and I have been banging the drum for the past 4 years and have done over 1,000 interviews for chiropractors, is because the truth matters and chiropractic truth matters so much. And if we can just get one person to hear this message, we could create the next future leader that we're all looking for.
I love it. And how do people access your library of interviews?
Chirohustle.com, or they can come over and check out our YouTube channel.
Beautiful.
So just go to YouTube and check out Chiro Hustle. And I believe today, what episode is this, Luke?
This is episode 284.
284 of our show. So we come out as a 2 times a week show. And we just keep on pumping out the chiropractic content. And I think that you hit on something earlier. And if we're going to win this, we have to win it through the media. Mm-hmm. And Joe Rogan is a great example of that. And I really believe that Chiro Hustle has the opportunity of getting a further reach than what we have right now. We just have to get more strategic in how we get out there.
100%. Well, I'm going to go to chirohustle.com and listen to some that I have not seen. I know I've seen quite a few, but not all of them. And I know there's a lot of great ones up there. And I know a lot of students or docs watching this. I mean, you just, it doesn't cost you anything to do that. It's an amazing thing that you have out for this profession. And obviously we appreciate you and all you guys are doing, and whatever we can do to help you keep it going, let us know.
Cool. Well, Dr. Howard, we love and appreciate you, and we'll let you get back to serving your beautiful community out there in Orange County. And I can't wait to connect with you again.
For sure. Let me know when you guys are in town again, and we'll go out and have some fun.
Cool.
All right, Dr. Howard, thank you for being our guest today, and we just want you to enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, gentlemen. We'll see you soon.
See you.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.